In the nuptial blessing at the end of the wedding mass, marriage is referred to as the one blessing not destroyed by sin or washed away by the flood. If you think about Eden, we were given a good number of things. We were given food and sustenance without any toil. We were given life without death. We were given easy communication with God. We were also given family. Adam and Eve were given to each other, and they were told to be fruitful and multiply. After we sinned, all of that was corrupted or wiped away, except for family, except for marriage. That remained unstained and untarnished. Family is part of the plan of God from the beginning. That is his plan. To the point that Jesus himself was born into a family. It was important to the Lord that he had a mother and a father. So what I'd like to do is spend this Feast of the Holy Family talking about God's plan for family and trying to help us figure out what we can do to support that plan. First, why family in general? Family is really good for our souls because it's important for us to have people that we are obligated to love and who are obligated to love us. If we only love people that we choose, love will always be, in one sense, selfish. I have chosen this person. This is the person that I want to love, and therefore I will love them. But you don't choose your parents, you don't choose your siblings, you don't choose your kids. Having those sorts of people in your life, where you say, I have an obligation to love this person, whether I want to or not, whether I like them or not, whether I feel close to them or not, I have an obligation to act for their good, is really good for your soul. It's really good for you to have people that you have to love. And when that love is effective, when it's good, it also shows us the love of God, because God loves us without condition. So to have people in our own lives who love us without condition and who we love without condition, that introduces us in a deeper way to the love of God. There is one person that you get to choose. That's your spouse. But once you choose them, rest of your life, right? That's it. Until death do you part. Okay. Similarly, obligated to love. Now, kids. Many people are surprised to hear this. We need to do more catechesis on it. That's as part of the homily. If two people come to the church and they say, we would like to get married, and they're of childbearing age, and then they say, but we don't want to have any kids, then the church will say, well, then we can't marry you. Kids are a necessary part of marriage. If a couple is capable of having children, they are obliged to have children at some point in their marriage. Again, why? Well, part of it is that obligation, right? There's just this obligation to children. But a lot of it is we are called, every single one of us, to live for something greater than ourselves. And children are the most powerful reminder to live for something greater than yourself. It is necessary and good to love our parents. That's what that whole first reading is about. And there are a lot of blessings to do that. Again, because loving somebody who you didn't choose is really powerful. But for whatever reason, the parental love of a child is far more transcendent. Suddenly there is somebody bigger than me, greater than me, more important than me. Those children are a powerful expression of self-sacrificial love. My life now belongs to somebody else, not just to myself. And they are a powerful fruit of the self-sacrificial love of a husband and wife. That love should result in something that is greater than the two of them, and that's the children. Of course, there are people who can't have kids either due to infertility or because they marry after childbearing age. There are folks who aren't going to have kids because they don't get married, like your priests or those in a religious vocation. I would argue, though, that every single one of us, priests included, single people included, are obligated to some kind of parental love. Every single one of us needs to live a life that is self-sacrificial. We need to live a life for somebody other than ourselves and to believe that there are people in this world greater than us or more important than us. My title is Father because I am supposed to treat every single one of my 3,000 parishioners with the love that a father would have for his children. Now, it's not quite as direct as it would be in an actual household. Nonetheless, that's what I'm called to do. To live for you rather than myself. To have the idea that your life is greater than mine and that my life is in service to yours. Whether you have kids or not, find an opportunity to live that parental love. Find somebody that you can live for. Somebody that you can mentor, maybe at work or maybe in society. Find a way in which you can give of your resources, time, money, whatever else, for the sake of somebody else. That parental love is really helpful for all of our holiness. Now, also in family, the Church has held from the beginning and continues to hold that a family is made up of a man and a woman and their children. We really do believe that marriage is only for a man and a woman. Again, why? Well, it has to do with something called complementarity. We believe that both men and women are made in the image of God, that they are equal in dignity before God, but that God was intentional in making them different than each other. That He intentionally made men and women as women, and that they bring something different to the table. If we all bring something different to the table, that's going to be especially true and especially potent in the intimacy of a household, in the intimacy of a marriage. Society, sure, we need both men and women, we need their perspectives, we need their work, but in a household where it's so immediate and so intimate, you really need both a man and a woman. And we believe that children have a right to a mother and a father because they have a right to what the man brings and to what the woman brings into that family. Now, this is where I have to be a little bit careful because the Church doesn't have super clear teachings on what exactly is the role of the mother and what exactly is the role of the father in marriage. So what I'm about to do is descriptive, not prescriptive. I'm going to try to describe some of those roles without prescribing, without saying, this is absolutely what it is, but more, what have we learned? And especially, what have clinical and developmental psychologists learned studying the role of parents in raising children? There's a lot of really excellent work out there now on attachment theory, on the role especially that a mother plays in the first 3 years of the child's life. What do they say? Just looking scientifically at men and women and what roles they seem to play in the family. What they say is that the mother is especially important for relationships. Children, infants, can't emotionally regulate themselves. So the mother spends a lot of time, especially in the first year of a child's life, soothing the child. The child is hungry or sad or lonely or whatever and just immediately starts crying. The mom does a lot of work soothing that child. And over the course of that work, the child eventually learns to soothe themselves. Because of that initial role, the mom spends a lot of time, even after the kid is no longer an infant, even after they're more grown, maintaining relationships within the household. Maintaining relationships between herself and her kids, between the kids themselves, between the father and the children. A lot of times, the mother is the peacekeeper of the household. In a sense, you might say that the mother is in charge of domestic policy, making sure that everything within the household is relational, it's compassionate, it's well arranged. The fathers, a lot of times, when you look at how dads, again, generally, both parents are kind of going to play this role every now and again on both sides, but dads generally are focused on the exterior world. So instead of focusing on who the kid is now and keeping him in relationship now, the dad a lot of time is focused on who the kid needs to become. And you see dads doing a lot of work pushing kids out of their comfort zone, teaching them new skills or new ways of being. You'll see dads engage in rough play, like wrestling or throwing the kids up in the air. You'll see dads sort of pushing the kid into projects or learning experiences. In a sense, you could say dad is responsible for foreign policy. He's the ambassador to the world, both protecting the family from the world and also helping the family enter into the world. Now, a side note that I think is important. If that's true, right, if that's generally how dads operate, and dads do a lot of the work teaching the kids new skills, that absolutely applies to religion. A lot of times in households, we see the mom doing a lot of the religious work, teaching the kids how to pray, teaching the kids what it looks like to have a devotional life, whatever else. But if dad's doing all the work everywhere else, if he's teaching the kids how to drive a car or how to change a light switch or whatever else, but he completely abdicates his responsibility in teaching the kid how to pray or how to enter into religion, there's going to be a division in the child's mind. Dad teaches me everything else except religion, so maybe religion doesn't matter. Maybe religion is not important. Men really do need to make sure that if they're doing it in everything else, they're also doing it by teaching the kid how to pray the rosary, teaching the kid how to go to Mass. I remember my dad, who has very little interest in religion, was in fact the one who taught me how to read a hymnal at the Presbyterian Church. I was next to him and following along with him in the hymnal. All that is to say, the point here is, again, not to prescribe everybody has to look this way, this is what all parental relationships look like. But it is to say that complementarity between the parents is essential. That you need both influences so that a child can be raised appropriately. Now, I came from a divorced family. I didn't live with my dad starting at the age of 9. When I was with my dad, he would do all the dad things. I learned a lot of things with him in the garage and around the house. He pushed me out of my comfort zone and taught me a lot of important stuff. But I'd only see him at Christmas, over the summer, spring break, Thanksgiving. That was pretty much it. Blessedly, my mother's dad was around the rest of the time. So I learned a lot at the hands of my grandfather. Every child needs both influences. And every now and again, the rest of society or the larger family needs to step in to make sure that children have both that motherly and that fatherly influence. And if you have that situation, ask yourself, is it possible for me to step in to help my family who might be broken? Or do I have somebody, if I'm kind of in a broken family, that I can ask to step in to make sure that my kids have both of those? Okay, what do we do with all of this? Well, remember, family is God's plan. He ordained it from the beginning of our creation. He wants it to be strong and true always. So the first thing that we have to do is live into that plan in our own lives, which is to say, let's love our family members as best as we can. I understand that there are difficult situations where people feel like they have to cut off contact with family, with parents, or with kids. I'd say two things on that. One, that should absolutely be the last resort. I have unfortunately talked to many families where it's just not proportional, where they're like, oh, I don't talk to my parents anymore, and I hear why, and I'm like, nah, man, like, fourth commandment, you have to love your father and mother, and that does not justify never talking to them ever again. Like, put in the effort. You are obligated to love your family. Same thing with kids. We're obligated to love your kids. There are, however, very rare circumstances where it's very difficult to have a relationship. It's not just that the relationship's hard and I got to put in the effort at Christmas and other times to make the call or to make a visit. But it's I can't talk to them at all. We are still obligated to love. If that love cannot be in person or if that love cannot be as direct as we want it to be, we are still obligated to do whatever is in our power. That is, at minimum, praying for our family members for the rest of our lives. and then if we can do more, we're obligated to do more. Start there. The more we do that, the stronger family will become, and the stronger family will become in a broader sense. Second, we should strengthen families in our own Christian community. It's difficult this side of the sex abuse crisis and safe environment. We do have to be careful the way we reach out to help with kids. It needs to be public, it needs to be safe, it needs to be consensual. Nonetheless, we have families that need us to step up. Every now and again, it's helpful to be like, hey, I'll make sure your 3-year-old doesn't run around the church while you go take care of the infant who's crying. Like, that's okay. We need to ask, what can I do to help? Grandparents do a great job of this. So you're in the same city with grandparents. A lot of times, the grandparents watching the kids, maybe after school or maybe once a week so the parents can go on a date night. Please do more of that. If you have the opportunity, do it, because it strengthens our families. It gives them the freedom to have kids and to raise those kids. If you have an opportunity with the parish to offer childcare that's supervised, again, safe environment, safe, all of that. But if you have the opportunity to do so, do so. Allow our families to thrive and be taken care of. And then finally, we should do everything we can to strengthen families on a societal level. Catholics have not had any political power in my lifetime. So I don't think advocating on a governmental level is really effective anymore, especially in Washington State. Nonetheless, in society, witness to family. Talk about how important family is. Talk about your marriage, or talk about your kids, or talk about how wonderful it is to see a child at the grocery store. Not in a creepy way, but I often will thank parents just for bringing infants to Mass, because I know it's hard. Just thanks for being here. Thank families for being in public. Let those around you know how important family is. Family is the locus of love. In its ideal, that's where we learn to love, and it's where we learn to be loved. The more we look after our families, the more we strengthen our families, the more we love our own families and help the families around us, the more love will be present in this world. It is God's plan that it should be so. Love your family and watch the love spread.